telling people to be emotional when they should demand answers from Kanye for what he said. Stop calling people names. The toddler game. Everybody's in preschool. You're anti-Semitic. You're racist. You're sexist. You're misogynist. Stop it. Be smarter. Be better. And
so basically, you feign ignorance and use that as your argument. Why didn't we actually sit down and do a deep, in-depth, systematic review of the tweet? What did he really mean by this? Maybe we can try and translate this into Hebrew and have a better understanding. I get it, Candace, okay? You're a dipshit. So because you yourself are brain dead and don't understand what he was saying, then you can use that, like conservatives always do. You can weaponize your own ignorance and use that as an argument. Why didn't we just ask more questions about it? Because we didn't need to, Candace. Because not all of us are operating at the brain capacity of a fish, and most of us are able to read the tweet and generally have an understanding of what he was getting at there. And it was really yikesy. It was anti-Semitic, okay? Now, the other day we talked about Kanye West and his downfall, a little bit about how he's become a massive fucking idiot, and more specifically, how he went off on various different anti-Semitic tirades, making multiple different comments about Jews that were incredibly yikes. Even more so, on Friday, he posted screenshots that appear to be a text exchange with Diddy, in which Kanye West, or Ye, as he's now known, told him, quote, "I'm going to use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. I told you this was war." I don't know how else to view that other than blatant anti-Semitism dipping into neo-Nazi talking points. Again, even if he isn't purposely trying to make neo-Nazi arguments, which is a much bigger, weightier sounding claim, he is playing right into that. Because when he says the Jews and they cannot force their agenda anymore, neo-Nazis hear that, they know exactly what Kanye is saying, at least according to them, and they run with it. This is dog whistling, if you even want to call it that. It's almost just fucking blatant anti-Semitism and blatantly signaling to the JQ. Yikesy AF shit, okay? Candace Owens dropping her new podcast episode from a couple days ago. Is Kanye West anti-Semitic? And Candace Owens is going to join us to let us all know how he's actually not anti-Semitic at all, even though he signaled to the JQ and made a blatantly anti-Semitic comment suggesting that Jews are like inherently or necessarily good with money. But okay, Candace.
When I received a text message, the first one, that asked me, is Kanye West anti-Semitic? And then came in another text message, somebody screenshot and sent me what Kanye West said and goes, is this real? Is this real? My first instinct was to go, what did he actually say, right? It wasn't to go, oh my gosh, Kanye West hates Jewish people. I know that's not true, obviously, because I'm friends with him and I'm friends with his Jewish friends. My instinct was to go, what did he say that is being misconstrued? Now, why would my instinct be to believe that he was being taken out of context or misconstrued? Well, maybe because...
Probably because you're dumb and you're also paid by alternative media, so you have all the incentives in the world to cast doubt on the mainstream media. But I don't know, just a hunch.
I'm Candace Owens, and that actually happened to me. It was actually one of the most horrific times throughout my career. Here's the story, and I'm going to remind you because you know that it culminated in me appearing in front of Congress and actually having a congressman, Ted Lieu, smear me as anti-Semitic. So I went on a flight. I was traveling with my buddy, Charlie Kirk, and we went to London, and I was giving a...
Off to a great start there. My good friend and colleague, Charlie Kirk. Okay, yeah, you were hanging with Charlie Kirk. What's next?
Long talk, and we were talking about global affairs, talking about socialism, talking about eventual communism, and talking about just the state of things all across the world throughout the Trump era. And somebody in the audience raised their hand and they asked a question about the word nationalism, something that I think we need to embrace. We need to take care of our nation first. That is really what America first means, right? We need to make sure Americans are being taken care of before we decide that we need to fix what's going on in Ukraine.
So this was the one where she said something like Adolf Hitler wouldn't have been a problem if he had kept his nationalism only in Germany. It was something like that. I'm curious, however, to hear what she is saying is misconstrued. First, though, I want to know what it's being reported specifically that she said.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. he was a National Socialist. But if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. In thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK, is what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't have I have no problems with nationalism. It's globalism that I try to avoid.
So that was the entire clip that we saw in her own words, in context, and it sounded pretty fucking yikes to me. I'm not gonna lie. That sounded a little yikesy, to be like, Hitler's main problem was that he wanted to expand outside of Germany. Like, no, I'm pretty sure Hitler had some problems in Germany too, right? Wasn't there that little pesky thing that happened where like 6 million people were all murdered? That's right, the fucking Holocaust. Now I remember. Now let's hear her explanation for this. Please, Candace, I'm very curious to hear what you meant.
We say nationalism when people have such a dark view of that word. It's become a dirty word. Even though we know what it means, we can't just go out and say we're nationalists. And I responded to her by saying in earnest that the reason, for whatever reason, nationalism has become a bad word is because people wrongly attribute it to Hitler. And Hitler clearly wasn't a nationalist, right? I mean, obviously, you're not a nationalist if you're invading the country next to you. You're not a nationalist. You don't care about the people in your nation if you're killing the Jews in your nation.
That's literally, first of all, he was partially a nationalist in the sense that he thought that the members of his nation, the Aryan race, he believed that they were superior, so he wanted to expand what he perceived as superiority across the globe. He thought that Jews were killing the nation from inside. There were certainly nationalistic undertones, even though he was trying to conquer other nations. He wanted to do that to begin with because he believed his nation and the people, or the Aryans in his nation, were superior.
Okay, said that, had a nice talk. The press was there, nobody covered it. Months later, BuzzFeed unearths this clip, strips out the question that was asked of me, and just has me saying, oh, well, if Hitler was a nationalist and just wanted to stay in Germany, that would have been fine, right? So now it sounds suddenly like I'm defending Hitler, and this clip made its way around the world. It was the first really global effort to cancel Candace Owens, completely out of context. Conservative organizations, by the way, jumped on board. It was conservative organizations that were reporting on this, calling me anti-Semitic. Me, Candace Owens, anti-Semitic. I dated a Jewish man, almost married a Jewish man, okay? And I was being called anti-Semitic and...
Even if the clip were out of context, even if it was dishonest, even if it was cut completely wrongly, even if BuzzFeed was totally inaccurate by portraying that clip, then you saying, I almost married a Jewish guy, does not mean that you are not anti-Semitic, you fucking dumb bitch. You realize that there were Jewish Nazis. You're doing the identity politics. You're saying that, well, because I was going to date this person, or because I'm friends with this person, then I can't be anti-Semitic. I can't be racist. That is not an argument, you fucking... Sorry, I almost let it slip. That is not an argument, you dummy. Okay? Like, slave owners, they were pretty racist, right? I would say so. Yeah. I know, super hot take. That slave owners would sometimes fuck their slaves, right? How could they be racist? They're having sex with black people. Come on.
So you can imagine that since going through this, since having to live this out, having to live out somebody take my words and construe meaning that was never there. In fact, in the clip, I never even said the word Jewish. Never even said the word Jewish. You can imagine.
Wow, it almost sounds as though if what you said sounded like it was downplaying the actions that Hitler took against Jews within Germany, could be anti-Semitic, or at least be perceived as anti-Semitic, even without you saying Jewish people verbatim. Wow. Conservative figures out how words work. Part 3.
How I feel now when I see people piling on somebody and they say, oh, this person's anti-Semitic, they said something. My instinct, having lived it, is to say, what did this person actually say? What is the full clip? So the headline on Newsweek is, Kanye West's comments on Jews are quote unquote horrifying, says an anti-Semitism group. Don't worry, plenty of anti-Semitism groups spoke out against me, including that woman that was sitting there, right? So that doesn't hold any weight for me. I need to actually see what he said. And in this article, first and foremost, I don't know why it's relevant, but they include a post of Kanye West that he posted on Instagram, and it says he captioned the post, Jesus is Jew. Okay, Jesus was a Jew. So I don't know if that was supposed to add to their thesis here that Kanye West is anti-Semitic. I don't know if perhaps this article was written by an atheist.
I kind of want to look at the article now. According to the text on Ye's Instagram, did he allegedly ask to meet with him face-to-face and said, let's stop playing these internet games and I don't feel threatened, you'll be fine, just love. And then he responded, this ain't a game, I'm gonna use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. I told you this was war. Now gone get you some business. And he captioned the post, Jesus is Jew. A little more context there than originally given. You never clarified, Candace dipshit Owens, that this was a caption on a post talking about how the Jews were trying to push their scary agenda. Interesting. Genuinely, I don't even know what Jesus is Jew even really means, but like documenting that, including the fact that that was what he captioned the post after posting something that was just blatantly anti-Semitic. Yeah, I think that's actually kind of relevant there, Candace. And this is hilarious because she just whined, bitched, and moaned about being misrepresented in the full context and everything else. And now she's not giving the full context whatsoever.
Kanye West wrote and then subsequently had his Twitter locked when he said, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. That was the tweet. And people subsequently demanded that the tweet be taken down for anti-Semitism. Now, if you are an honest person, you didn't...
He referenced Jewish people that time, Candace, okay? What are you going to say about it?
Not think this tweet was anti-Semitic. You do not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide Jewish people. This does not represent the beginning of a Holocaust. That's if you're an honest person, you'll admit that.
Yeah, okay. Listen to how she does this. It's so blatant. Just listen, guys, okay? This is not anti-Semitic. Do you think that this guy literally just did like a Nazi salute? Do you think he said Hail Hitler? Because he didn't say that, okay? He doesn't need to want to genocide Jewish people for his fucking comment to be anti-Semitic. You know this, Candace. You are being intentionally dishonest. I don't want to believe that you're actually this influential and simultaneously this fucking deranged and stupid. There is no way that you are like this for real. Tell me this is a facade, please. Please. She just like makes up the most extreme and says since he didn't meet that most extreme standard, then therefore it wasn't anti-Semitic. That's like if somebody said like, I don't know if I would trust like a black guy, you know, because black people commit a lot of crime. That would be a racist thing to say. Even if it's true that there are disproportionate crime rates in black communities, it is a racist thing to suggest and essentialize that because one person is black, they must be like this negative stereotype. And even if it is based on statistical reality, it doesn't mean that you get to assume and essentialize on one person, right? She would look at that and say, did that guy say that he literally wanted to lynch black people? Did that guy say that he wants to wear a Klansman hood? No. So he's not racist. Like, that's the equivalent of what she just did. She took something that was said that was obviously anti-Semitic, made up a ridiculously high standard and said because it doesn't meet that ridiculously high standard, therefore it's not anti-Semitic.
Right? If you're an honest person, when you read this tweet, you had no idea what the hell he was talking about. I had no idea when I read this tweet what the hell he was talking about. This tweet inspired questions, not answers. First and foremost, what is DEFCON 3? Did he mean death?
Guys, it was confusing anti-Semitism. So, okay, I get it. Maybe you're too stupid to understand what a tweet is saying, but for the rest of us, we knew exactly what he was saying. And you don't have to have a full understanding even of what he was saying to have an understanding that he was saying Jewish people, he's going to go DEFCON 3 on them, and that they all have an agenda. That is the JQ.
DEFCON 3. Did he mean DEFCON 3, which would be a military defense position, not an offense for those of you that are offended, a military defense position? Is he tweeting this because he's reading the Newsweek headline?
Wait, him suggesting that he needs to defend himself against the Jews is the JQ. How are you so dumb? They literally unironically believe, okay, at least like professed neo-Nazis do, and the JQ alleges that, yes, we are being victimized by the evil elite cabal of Jews. The JQ, it would make more sense within the context of the JQ to say that you're going to be taking a defensive measure rather than an offensive measure. That is the Jewish question. You think that you're being victimized by these powerful elites who are Jewish, so you're saying you need to defend yourself against them. Oh my God. Guys, he was saying it was defensive. That just proves the point more, you bitch.
line calling him an anti-Semitic? Is he angry because he can't believe that he's not free to talk about people in his life who happen to be Jewish, right? Without
No, and if he was, he could have said that rather than saying he's going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. What?
being accused of anti-Semitism? Is he saying, I'm not going to shut up and I'm going to keep tweeting and I'm going to keep calling these people out, referring to his friends that he feels slighted by? Is he talking about Jared Kushner and Josh Kushner?
Maybe he could have made it more clear instead of saying he's going to be defensive against the Jewish people. Do you think if I was like, I'm going to be really defensive for now on against the black people, that someone would be up here going, well, maybe he just meant that, like, some of his friends who happen to be black, he needs to... No, it sounds racist, you dumb idiot.
If you're a liar, you'll say, I know I was scared, Candace. I actually thought that Kanye West was going to launch a military strike in Israel. Because that's the reaction. Like, when I woke up and I looked at the headlines, the reaction was like, Kanye West had gotten...
I love this. Oh my God, this is so funny. Guys, Kanye didn't literally do the Holocaust, okay? He can't be an anti-Semite. Well, I'm sorry, did Kanye West push the gas the Jews button? Did Kanye West himself fire up the ovens? No? Well, then how can he fucking be anti-Semitic? Dude, this is embarrassing. Are Jews not overrepresented in positions of power? Maybe we can debate that next time, Hunter. Simon, you're probably not going to be debating me again because last time we tried to talk, which was only a few minutes ago, you did nothing but cope and seethe the entire time. Yes, Jews are in disproportionate positions of power. Yup. That's not the JQ, you dumb fuck. The JQ alleges that because Jews are in disproportionate positions of power, they are all therefore a monolith who have an agenda. Usually that agenda includes pushing progressive causes, which might also be called degeneracy, and or wiping out the white race. Okay? That's usually what entails the JQ. So Kanye suggesting that Jews are a monolith and that they all have one agenda, which in this case the agenda happens to be progressive, is signaling to the JQ. Nobody thinks it's the JQ to acknowledge that Jews have disproportionate positions in power. But again, the reason they even have that disproportionate power or influence is because of previous anti-Semitism, which forced them into some of these positions to begin with.
Now, once again, I want to make this very clear. This is not a defensive tweet. This is an open question, which never seems to happen anymore. It's like you cannot even say the word Jewish without people getting upset, in the same way that you're not allowed to say black anymore. In the same way that if you talk about the struggles of black Americans and you talk about the people in black America, like Patrisse Cullors, the founder of Black Lives Matter, who are harnessing emotions to enrich their pockets.
You can't even say black anymore, guys. I had no idea. Thank you for the update, Candace. That's true, guys. Next time you're coloring a picture, okay, you're like, can you hand me the can you hand me the opposite color of white crayon, please? I would like to continue drawing the picture of my black lab, my dog that is the darker color of gray, the darker version of gray. Yeah, I had no idea. Yep, it's true. The woke police will show up at your door, blast you down, kick you in the nuts, curb stomp you, and then lock you in prison for the rest of your life if you dare to even utter the words black. I hope they didn't hear me. No, you can say Jewish, you can say black. If you're suggesting that you are going to be defensive against Jewish people in general, and that they all have an agenda, and that they're influencing the opposition against you, then yes, now we've stepped into territory in which you are being anti-Semitic. You don't even need to suggest or say Jewish people verbatim. If you are signaling that there is something going on here because of the Jews, you are being anti-Semitic. Fuck you.
Right? Who are looking at historical pain and trying to harness it to line their own pockets. I guess it's okay for me to say because Patrisse is not Jewish, right? If God forbid, if Patrisse, by the way, converts Judaism, I'm in big trouble because I just made the most anti-Semitic comment I could have possibly made by suggesting that she used Black Lives Matter as a vehicle to line her own pockets, which I believe. But fortunately, she's not Jewish, so we're allowed to have an open discussion about that. We need to stop this nonsense.
But I thought you can't talk about the black people either.
Telling people to be emotional when they should demand answers from Kanye for what he said. Stop calling people names. The toddler game. Everybody's in preschool. You're anti-Semitic. You're racist. You're sexist. You're misogynist. Stop it. Be smarter. Be better. And
so basically, you feign ignorance and use that as your argument. Why didn't we actually sit down and do a deep, in-depth, systematic review of the tweet? What did he really mean by this? Maybe we can try and translate this into Hebrew and have a better understanding. I get it, Candace, okay? You're a fucking dipshit. You're stupid as fuck. So because you yourself are brain dead and don't understand what he was saying, then you can use that, like conservatives always do, you can weaponize your own ignorance and use that as an argument. Why didn't we just ask more questions about it? Because we didn't need to, Candace. Because not all of us are operating at the brain capacity of a fucking fish, and most of us are able to read the tweet and generally have an understanding of what he was getting at there. And it was really yikesy. It was anti-Semitic, okay? Also, you're not interested in genuinely asking questions, because if you were, then you'd have a better understanding of the tweet. Instead, again, you're playing up the ignorance card. You're playing the, well, I mean, I was confused, so were we really sure that we knew what he was saying? You're just a jackass.
Ask Kanye to explain what he said. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, guys, I want to take a second to talk to you about ExpressVPN.
Wait, is that the end of it? That's it? No, that can't be all. I was expecting her to, like, get a little bit more in depth, but, I guess not. Okay, cool. So, let's break down the summary. Candace was too dumb to know what the tweet said, so therefore that means it wasn't anti-Semitic. 2, Kanye didn't literally do the Holocaust or nuke Israel, so he's not anti-Semitic. Well, I am convinced, guys. Man, can you do Adolf Hitler next, Candace? Please? I'm sure you can think of something to do there, right? You'll come up with an excuse, right? You'll figure out a way to explain that one, you know? You guys realize that Adolf Hitler actually had a twice-removed cousin who was Jewish? So how could he really be anti-Semitic?